I am having way more fun finding older back issues of comic books online than I am buying new releases. Why is that? Hey there. Today I'll be unboxing an order of comic books that I placed with Atomic Avenue from a seller that I've ordered from in the past who's very reliable, averages somewhere around that 9294 range for back issues, bronze, copper, uh, movie era a little bit, but certainly just right in that early 80s to early 90s, mid 90s range era that I typically target for my books. And what I have found is I just love it. I love finding these books. Certainly, I would include bronze, early, mid 70s, late 70s in that era. Of course, those are tougher to find. But certainly, as I stumble on those online, I love grabbing those as well. And I just found that I'm having way more fun hunting those books down, tracking values, and a little plug for my social media. If you follow me at Moneyball Comics on Instagram or Twitter, I post. I try to post once a day, maybe once every couple days, but I try and share some of these value picks that I kind of talk about here on this channel, where they're just non-keys, nothing really all that like super exciting, maybe an interesting cover or a difficult cover to get in high grade or something, but I talk about value. And what I've started to do is share some of those picks out on social media, and not asking you to follow me there or anything if you follow me here and you're watching these videos for a reason. But I do post there from time to time, and I might do a recap here at some frequency, or maybe I was thinking it would be interesting after some period of time, maybe 30, 60, 90 days or 6 months or something, to go back at some of the books that I suggested and just kind of see if any of the books picked up value. But really, it's kind of a daily snapshot of the kind of books that I like to target. And a lot of the books that I put out there as kind of value picks aren't necessarily books I own either. That's always kind of confused me when speculators say, well, I'm telling you about this book because I'm invested. I've got 50 copies, so I want you to know about this book. And I just kind of scratch my head like, well, how does that work? Because if you want me to go buy the book that you have 50 copies of, then I'm driving up the market for you. But on the flip side, it's kind of weird for me to share an idea for a book and not own it. I don't really care necessarily. Some of the books I have, some I don't. I just let the data tell the story instead of me. So I share the data. And when we go over the order analysis at the end of this video, you'll kind of see, again, the kinds of books that I target, where I'm getting them, and then why I'm buying them. And a lot of it has to do with the hidden value in terms of getting them in high grade. But what I kind of back to the original thought here, this is the first week that I have not placed an FOC pre-order. I went through the FOC list, and it's why I frankly stopped making those videos. I enjoyed making them, but I got bored really fast because the books weren't all that exciting. I found myself, spending $5 or $6, $10 for a book, $15 for a book, and I'd record that video and I put together my FOC order, and I'm just sitting here going, if I could take this money and buy 6, 8, a dozen books or something from Mile High Comics or Atomic, or save that money and go to a show, there's just something that I purely enjoy way more about back issues. I think it's just reminds me of being a kid in the LCS, and just I had my pull box and I knew what I was going to get, and I was getting my books out of there, and whatever the cover price was, 60 cents, 75 cents at the time. But man, the wall books and the cubbies with the back issues those just fascinated me. It still fascinates me. It's why I put books on the wall here in my comic cave. There's just something about seeing the books on display and having them just a little bit out of reach, either financially or physically out of reach. I just love it. It's just it stirs up some of the emotions, and that's what I bring to the hobby. That's what I try to think about or experience, because I want the hobby to be enjoyable. I want it to be fun, and I feel like buying brand new books or FOC pre-order whatever, it seems like a chore sometimes. It honestly does. And I know I just plug social media, but honestly, I try and stay off of it. I just don't have a real good way to kind of share some of the numbers with you. So unfortunately, social media is that way. But man, it's just the same modern books over and over and over getting pushed and hyped, and the flipping game, and it's crazy. And I know that there's an opportunity for folks that are buying brand new books to flip on your favorite social media auction hype platform. I get all of that, and I just stay away from it. I just, there's something about finding books online, and that's the majority of my buying. I try to go to a show every 3 or 4 months, and I love it. If there were more, I would go to more. I just don't have the opportunity to go to that many. But back issues, I just love it. I love it so much. So I'm going to open this order. I'm going to go through each book, kind of talk about it, and then at the very end, I'll go over the numbers, see how I did, and again, just kind of show you why I'm targeting these types of books in terms of their current fair market value, and then the potential that they have if they are truly in high grade and worthy of professional grading. So let's get to that unboxing. All right, here we go. I did get stomped by the Media Mail monster. This is from Rocky Mountain Books, otherwise known as Parman on Atomic Avenue. Sent me this nice, huge, thick box via Media Mail. It doesn't look like it was opened already. That's always the risk, but let me go ahead and get this unboxed and get the comics out of here. Oh, it's like I'm taking the comic book's pants off or something. It's like sliding it. Oops, sliding off. All right, they're free. Oh boy, that was a lot of tape. Lots of tape. Lots of good stuff. Huge stack of comics here. Let's get through this. This looks like a lot of fun. So let's go through the books. Here we go. First book, X-Men 22. This is great cover art by Andy Kubert. This features Psylocke and the Silver Samurai on the cover. And we've got a couple of versions of Psylocke here. So if you're into Psylocke and into her backstory, this is actually, it's not, I'm not saying it's a key, but it is kind of one of her key reads, key storyline books. But again, just another great book. Great 1993 X-Men cover, where Andy Kubert had taken over after Jim Lee and did some great work on X-Men. Here is, speaking of Jim Lee, Uncanny X-Men 261. It's got Jubilee on the cover, Psylocke again. Psylocke, one of my favorite X-Men. I think I say that about all the X-Men, that they're all my favorite. But there she is with Wolverine, also front and center. First team appearance of Hardcase and the Harriers. Next we have, oh, that's right. And this one actually ordered 3 copies. So this was something that I just remembered I did a little bit differently. I am notorious for buying one book at a time and then placing another order and getting the same books. And I remember as I was placing this order, I thought to myself, you know what? If this particular seller has a book and has it in near mint, Just buy multiple copies. Like, don't waste the seller's time. Don't waste my time. Don't waste your time showing you the same books. Just get multiple copies. It's so much easier. And it's kind of nice because you have a pretty good shot at maybe one of these being in a 9.8. If you look at the spines on these, they all look really nice, right? So this seller, Parman on Atomic Avenue, great seller, great guy. You saw kind of, well, I know it was going fast, but kind of, again, a homegrown, little bit of a makeshift kind of way that he packaged books, but he ended up putting cardboard around every corner of the pack. So even if it were to slide around, which it wouldn't in the way that he packed it also, because he had the books and then packing peanuts around the books, it was almost like a little moat of packing peanuts, where if everything slid around, the packing peanuts would secure it. And then the additional cardboard around the corners helped it even more. So thank you so much. I love, I know the tape monster gets me, the media mail monster gets me, but if they arrive like this and they're in high grade, it's worth it. And I appreciate the time and effort that the seller put into putting this order together. So again, and let me just see here. Yeah, Spider-Man 26. And this is the John Romita hologram cover. And I got 3 copies of this as well. So we'll go over the numbers and I'll show you what I paid. This one is a lot tougher in a 9.8 than you would think because of the hologram, right? Because how it would get scratched up, and you can see the scratches. And some of that might be on the bag, some of it might be on the hologram. But again, this is another reason why a book like this might not be desirable. It may, well, it's not a key, or there's some excuse as far as why you don't want to get that book. But then when you look at the value and see what it is in a 9.8, because of the fact that that hologram typically gets scratched, then it's worth that gamble. Spider-Man 12, I can't get enough of these. The McFarlane Spider-Mans, these always sell. They sell raw, they sell graded. It's McFarlane, it's Spider-Man, it's Wolverine. I think because these are so plentiful, they're not keys, but I mean, just my goodness. If this cover came out today, like let's say this was an incentive, it's a 1 in 25 McFarlane cover, it'd be hundreds of dollars. But just because there's like a million copies of these, they figure, oh well, it's only a couple bucks. And there's a lot of people who speculate and collect based on rarity alone. But I think that when a book is super, super ultra rare, I get that it's valuable. I'm not discounting that, but I think that some of the value is driven by the hype, and it takes so much effort to constantly plug and push a rare book. You're trying to always put a book into the comic book community stream of consciousness. You just like, don't sleep on this book. Don't forget about it. You don't have to do it with a book like this. This book is always awesome, and I don't care if it's $2. It's great. I love it. So I bought a lot of these. Here's Spider-Man 6, Hobgoblin. I have a few of these, and again, I've just started to send these into CGC, picking the cream of the crop, the best of the best, and getting those sent in. But just absolutely stunning. Love it. Spider-Man 4. Again, these are all cover art, story by Todd McFarlane, and super ultra affordable. Here's another one. So I got 2 copies of number 4. Spider-Man number 1. I just sent this book along with the silver copy off to CGC and realized I didn't have a raw book anymore and wanted to replenish that. And so ordered 1 raw. All right. Now moving away from Spider-Man, and again, just trying to grab multiple copies, I grabbed Secret War. And this is Secret War number 4. This is the Bendis del Auto Secret War. So not to be confused with the Hickman Multiverse Secret Wars or the original Secret Wars. These are extremely tough to get in high grade. And I'll give you one guess as to why, and you can see as I shine the light, there are dings right here, but this ultra dark black purple foil cover, these are really, really difficult. But what a gorgeous Del Auto Black Widow cover. I mean, his art, his cover art, it's always dark. So why not go solid black with a solid black costume? And then actually kind of pops. So love it. But I see the nicks right there on the side. Corners look all right for the most part, but high grade. These books are always going to command a value, and it's going to be understood that even a 9.6 might get respect. All right. So continuing this theme of multiples, I bought two Sandman number 32. It's a 6-part storyline. The first season or couple of seasons, I'm not sure exactly how they're going to break it up in the Sandman Netflix show. It's pulling from the first issues, first 12 or something like that. So issue 32 is kind of beyond, like, you're hoping that the series is a big hit and they continue to make it, and they've got all of those fine actors on the payroll and games still involved. And I mean, you're banking on a lot here if you're specking that this specific issue will go up in value because of the show. But what I like is just collecting as early and as affordable Sandman as you can get. So these were very, very affordable. If you're chasing issue 1, not so affordable. So that's kind of my way of approaching Sandman. Is I think that the window for Sandman back issues and getting them is closing fast. So if it is something that you look at, and I read kind of the first arc, absolutely fell in love with Sandman back in the day. I think I have almost every issue except for I'm missing issue 1, and I'm missing the first appearance of Death, the two biggest keys. But I have all of the issues around the keys, and I grab those. And so I go back as far as I can in the issue numbers, or as small as I can, and then see what's most affordable. So when I see issues like this and they're a few bucks, I love to grab them. This is the Saga of the Swamp Thing, number 35. Now, this is not related to Conan the Barbarian, but for me it is. I say I'm not a Conan collector, and I buy Conan the Barbarian back issues. I'm also not a Swamp Thing reader or collector, and I buy Swamp Thing back issues. So it's part of being a comic book collector. It's just kind of the way it is, I guess. But for me, the key here is these are books written by Alan Moore. They're also books that scared me as a child. When I was younger, I was deathly afraid of Alan Moore and anything he wrote. I was scared of Watchmen, Swamp Thing. So now that I realize the significance of his writing and his contributions, I like to go back. And again, it's funny to me because these books written by Alan Moore or this one in particular, it's not 37, the first Constantine. This is just a non-key. But I think over time, what we'll see is all of these these legendary Hall of Fame type creators. I think that over time, all of their books are keys, honestly. So I love to grab them now when nobody really thinks of them because they're not cataloged in a database as a key. Now this one's playing with the light here because this is a foil cover. This is Punisher 75. So this is, the 90s at its best. This is an embossed cover art by Steve Geiger. And I know I can feel the embossing. You can't, but you have to trust me that it feels really nice. But a very interesting cover. It almost has the Punisher logo as Frank Castle's face. These books are plentiful. I got this book super cheap. Also, again, give you one or two guesses as to why this book is hard to find in high grade. Embossing, foil, scratches, solid black cover. So man, if you kind of roll the dice and spend $1 or $2 on a book like this and find it in high grade, and you think it's a 9.8 candidate, off it goes to CGC. This sells in a 9.8 all day long. Okay, now getting back into some earlier books, going back to the 80s, we have New Mutants 32. I grabbed this one from time to time. This is the introduction of Madripoor. It is something that has been put into the MCU thanks to Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think it was not a coincidence or not sort of just a mistake or an accidental introduction or naming of the city that they were in. I think that the fact that it was Madripoor was for a very, very significant reason, and we'll find out, I think, in the years to come how things are going to tie back. And I think that I mean, listen, we're getting speculation on first character appearance, first first team up. Why not first island or first land or first city? So this is the first. It's the first appearance, I guess, or first mention of Madripoor. Now, watching the Moon Knight show, I got felt I'd always been in love with Bill Sienkiewicz's art, but certainly just reminded me. I think everyone was hot after Moon Knight, and they were just the connection between Sienkiewicz and Moon Knight. It's obviously it's quintessential, but he also did fantastic and groundbreaking work on New Mutants. Another series that scared me. I saw these books on the shelf, and my friends had them, and I just didn't want to read it. It just there's something about Sienkiewicz's art and my frame of mind being young. I just kind of just stayed away from these books, and now I go back and I love them and I obsess over them, just because the artwork is so unique. So this is issue 22. Again, just early New Mutants, cover and art by Bill Sienkiewicz, written by Chris Claremont. I love grabbing those. This is New Mutants 16. This is the first appearance of the second Thunderbird, James Proudstar. He later becomes Warpath. This one is not anywhere close to near mint. I haven't really been checking the grades as I open these, but wow, this is like getting into 6.0, 7.0 territory with all those spine ticks. So that's unfortunate. And this one is a key. It is also the first team appearance of Hellions. So there's an ongoing series called Hellions, and this is the first appearance of that team. And Thunderbird is part of that team. All right, now circling way back to kind of what I was saying at the beginning, where I do kind of a daily value pick. This is Fantastic Four 347, and my pick here was finding it at a particular price point, but then picking it up because it was the first team appearance of the new Fantastic Four: Wolverine, Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, and Hulk. And they're doing some things with that team, but another great little set, kind of like makes this kind of a side key, I guess, in a way, or has some interest. Cover art by Art Adams here. So love Art Adams, just like I love McFarlane. So much detail, characters in the background here. So this was something that I guess shared as far as what I think a good value pick would be, and then I kind of put my money where my data is, and picked up a copy. Here we go with Sienkiewicz again. Elektra Assassin, trying to get all of these in high grade, a full set. So this is issue 3. Just mesmerizing art and story by Frank Miller, and cover and interiors by Sienkiewicz. These, you can find these all day long, for about the cover price of $1.50 still. Just, I don't know. Like I said, there's legendary creators out there putting these books out, and it's another reason why I'm just kind of moving away. I'd rather have 2 or 3 copies of Elektra Assassin, like picking up a few different issues, than some of the modern books that just become filler in my collection. Daredevil 213. This is a great David Mazzucchelli cover. This is written by Denny O'Neil as well. It is the newsstand copy. I don't know if the newsstand is more valuable or rare than the direct. Or I don't really mess with that too much. Sometimes you get lucky and find that one or the other is worth like 3 or 4x. I don't care. I just grabbed the book. I'm not a newsstand or direct kind of person. I understand the significance. I understand the rarity. I get all of that. But to me, and especially in like 1984, I'm buying these off the rack. I'm buying them from the LCS. All right. Looks like we got 3 more to go. This is Batman 448. This is the first appearance of Penguin's chauffeur. Yeah, so not much going on here other than the fact that this book was very, very affordable. I believe this is a Norm Breyfogle cover, The Penguin Affair, Part 1 of 3. Amazing Spider-Man 342. I can't place an order without buying some Amazing Spider-Man book. I don't believe that I had this book in my collection, so trying to fill out that run. This is the post-McFarlane Amazing Spider-Man where Eric Larson took over. So great Larson cover here. We've got, again, Black Cat. I'm all over Black Cat. Anything, any covers, any stories. Who knows, how Spider-Man 4 is going to pull her into that movie 2 or 3 years from now. And I just grabbed everything Black Cat that I can. The other little bit of significance here is this is the first appearance of the individual that later becomes Cardiac. So there's like a wave where when you get to Bagley and Carnage, so like this is the first appearance of the person that becomes Cardiac. And then in those issues later in Amazing Spider-Man, the issues where Cardiac appears, Cletus Cassidy appears. And there's his first appearance before he becomes Carnage. And the last book is not a book I ordered. It is Namor 22. This seller likes to throw in a free book, and I love that. Very, very cool. It's always just a fun, nice touch. I don't think I have any from Namor from this series. So now, just like I'm a Conan collector and a Swamp Thing collector, maybe I'm a Namor collector. But I totally appreciate that gesture. What an awesome stack of comic books. These are the comics that I buy all day long. I love them. And now I want to see if we take all of these books and really start to compare the fair market value, what I paid for them, and the book's potential, if they are in fact a high grade. And from this seller, the percentage or the chance to get a 9.8 is small, but it is there. I have received 9.8s from him in the past, but most of the books usually settle around 9.2 or 9.4. So we just kind of use 9.4 as a guide. So let's take a look at the numbers and see how everything turned out. All right, here is the order that I placed on April 22nd, 2022. This was with Parman from Atomic Avenue. It was a $74.84 order. Had no shipping and no tax on this one. Again, it's just that's amazing because if you're going to distribute that additional money, those fees, whatever it may be across your books, I highly recommend including that when you track your cost of the book. So there's no need to do that here, but I kind of do it in the formula anyway, just to make sure the totals line up, $74.84. So what I do here is take the total cost in column Z, and then I compare it to then determine if I have added any value to my collection with just buying the books raw. So, for example, that Batman 448 with Penguin on the cover has a fair market value via cover price of $3.17. It cost me 99 cents to buy from this seller. And so I added $2.18 of raw value to my collection. And that's just kind of the way I look at it. And then I go ahead and add up the total raw value. And just from a raw FMV perspective, I gained over just a touch over $70 of value, added that to my collection just from these books being raw. So in theory, I should be able to take all of these books and sell them elsewhere at fair market value and profit $70. Now, obviously, that's not always the case. People are always trying to buy under fair market value and so forth. I get that. But if we're just kind of keeping the numbers relative and consistent and easy to track and follow, that is the total gain. So I like Atomic Avenue. It does take some experimentation, trying to figure out which sellers are reliable, which sellers will send you books in high grade. The other thing is the platform, I have a store there that I post books from time to time. And the one thing, I actually have to pull my books off the site from time to time because it has a shipping policy where you're going to get the books packed and shipped out in less than 48 hours. So it puts a little bit of pressure on you as a seller, but as a buyer, it's great because you get the books fast. All right, let's dig into some of the numbers just a little bit here, and then we'll look at the graded values. The one book that I'm staring at here is New Mutants 16. I paid the most for that book, $17, and just at a quick glance at the books, that was the one that was in the worst shape. That is always the risk, and it's always the gamble. And it's just the way it is. It's unless you're going to a shop or you're I've had some folks comment and say they don't understand why I'm buying these books sight unseen, because the reason I do it is because it evens out. There are times, and I just thought of this the other day when I was looking at a book, if I contact the seller and I say, can I please see scans, I think that throws up kind of a red flag. And what I mean is the seller then gets alerted that somebody wants to see scans of a book. Why do they want to see scans? What happened? Did the value go up? Do I actually have a high grade copy? Do I have a 9.8? I feel like it's better to just go ahead and blindly buy them, because as the seller is going through their books, they're probably just grabbing them and fulfilling the order and sending them out. They're not necessarily going through every single comic and saying, wait a minute, this Sandman 32 is actually a 9.8 or a 9.6. Maybe I'll send him a different copy that's more of a 9.4. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that it's there are pros and cons to buying books that you can see, and I buy books from eBay, and I stare at the scans and I scrutinize it and all of that, and I get that. But when you're buying these and you're talking about, I'm spending $2 here, $3 there, a dollar here, a dollar there, I want to slip in like a New Mutant 16 for $17 and just cross my fingers. It didn't work out that time. I don't get upset and I move on. The only thing I really contact the sellers if there's like a giant page tear or something significant. But spine ticks, I've had many an encounter with sellers who argue with me over spine ticks, and it's best just to avoid it and just kind of take your losses and move on. Here's the other one that I paid a lot for, Spider-Man #1. I paid $14. It is currently sitting fair market value of $18.76. So much for scarcity and rarity and all of that. I mean, we're fast approaching a $20 book for Spider-Man 1. And again, it's awesome because these are easy to find and really valuable in high grade, relatively speaking. Let's look at some of the biggest gainers. So even that New Mutant 16, even raw, it was a $6 loss. So not exactly sure why I picked that one up. Let's see here. $7.69 gain on Spider-Man 12. I bought it for $2.40. And here's another $7 gainer, Sandman 32. It was $2, $2.10. Punisher 75, super cool cover, cost me $1.70. So yeah, and as I was going through these, this is what I was talking about. I just figured, you know what? Buy multiples. If it's $1.45 or if it's $2.55, or what were some of the, like the Spider-Man 26. So Spider-Man 26 was the hologram cover. It was $1.90. The cover price, I'm looking at the cover price here, is $3.50. So I have a copy of this, but when I bought it, when it came out, it was obviously cover price. I got it for $1.90. Fair market value is $7.62 on that one. Now, let's plug in the grades here. So like I said, you just kind of pick 9.4 because, I remember very early on when I got back into the hobby in this iteration, I made a huge mistake of talking about books, near mint books, and so I got scolded by somebody who eventually ended up blocking me on Twitter. But he scolded me and said, you're not allowed to expect anything more than a 9.4 because that is by definition near mint. And I said, okay, fine. So from that point forward, all of these books I expect to be 9.4. So from a CGC grading perspective, if I were to send all of these books in blindly, and I assume that based on my metrics that the books from Atomic Avenue from this seller on average gets 9.4, then I would stand to gain about $25. Not that much, probably not worth the hassle. Of course, this is after CGC grading fees and all of that. But really no huge winners here. Fantastic Four 347 sells for $54 in a 9.4. So a little bit of value there. That New Mutants 16 obviously isn't a 9.4, but it would have been 52. Punisher 75, like I said, great cover, always sells. $59, really not bad. So it was a $1.70 buy-in. Sells for $59 in a 9.4. So you could find that book, let's say for $2 and buy 10 copies and then just send them all in. You could press them if you want to mess around with that foil, but maybe some hit a 9.8, you get a 9.4. They're all valuable. And those are the kind of books that I target. Spider-Man 1, it did cost me $14, but even in a 9.4, people are buying that at $56 for a slab 9.4. But they're not all like that. X-Men 22, only $23 in a 9.4. And again, that's less than it costs to actually get the book graded and so on. So some interesting fun numbers here. And then the last part for me is the most fun. It's like, well, what was the max? What was the ceiling, or, in terms of the range? Well, let's say they're all 9.8s, even though I know that's not true. But all of these books in a 9.8 would end up having a total CGC value of over $1,400. And what I like to do is take a look at the potential. So this is it's the risk reward, but it is that potential that I use in my estimation. And New Mutants 16 being a $275 book in a 9.8 was the reason that I bought it for $17. That's the kind of value that I look for. It's like, let me find a book, let me buy it at a particular price point, let me understand its potential, and then acquire it, examine it myself, and then determine whether or not I can press it, clean it up, or if it's a, good to go 9.8. But then if it's not, what kind of loss am I assuming? So as long as I'm not assuming that much of a loss, and in this case, from a raw FMV perspective, it looks like I actually gained money. But for the most part, this is kind of the way that I approach these types of orders. So in a 9.8, some of the other target books to target here, again, Fantastic Four 347, I mentioned that. It was a total cost for me of $2.20. And in a 9.8, it's $158. Here's a $1.45 Electro Assassin 3. It is over $100 in a 9.8. And so the $100 mark it's an easy one. You can just kind of see as the spreadsheet kind of lines up with the dollar sign here. Oh, and I forgot ASM 342. So actually that number was greater. I had left that one out of the calculation. Let's see here. So closer to 1,500 now that I've added that ASM book. So apologies for that. So 342 like I was saying, you can kind of see the way that the numbers sort of align in the spreadsheet. So I'll kind of use that to kind of eyeball books as I'm buying them and I'm analyzing. Is like, okay, I can see the $100 plus CGC books. So if I have to, pay an extra couple of dollars for, I don't care, because again, I stand to gain almost $74 if that book is in a 9.8. So I don't mind paying an extra dollar or two. So these are the books. New Mutants 32, $156 in a 9.8. Swamp Thing was $5.50, $150 in a 9.8. Sandman 32 was $2.10, again, because we've kind of moved out of those like super hardcore, valuable key Sandman books. And A Game of You is, it's much more plentiful. I think people had caught on to Sandman at that point. But still, $80 for a 9.8, and it was a $2 buy-in for me. Spider-Man #1, it's not huge value. It's not hundreds of dollars, but $120 and 9.8 for that is still great value for a mass-produced book. And then the 2 X-Men books I got, over $100 a pop. Total cost, $1.75. So X-Men 261, I got 3 copies of that. It was $1.75 for each copy. So that's 3 chances for me to roll the dice and hopefully get a 9.8 with maybe one of them, hopefully more. So there you go. Those are the numbers. I love going through the numbers too. It's all part of the hobby for me. I try not to pretend that the books don't have value. I know they have value. So I love trying to find, different angles for, looking up and discovering value in books. And there's lots of great places online, lots of great sellers, lots of great people in the hobby. So I appreciate you watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.